The year was 2198, and the world glowed not with sunlight, but with the ghost of it. The true sun hadn't touched Earth's surface in almost 70 years. What the citizens of New Kyoto saw when they looked upward were layers of artificial auroras, massive electromagnetic fields rippling with color, shielding what remained of the atmosphere from solar radiation. It was beautiful, in the way a dying flame was beautiful, vivid, flickering, desperate. Above the city's curved horizon, the rift shimmered like a wound in the sky, a spiraling storm of violet plasma, widening by a kilometer every month. Humanity had learned to live beneath its gaze, as one learns to ignore the sound of their own heartbeat. In the neon rain, Lyricade moved like a ghost through the lower sectors. The streets hummed with static light, and the smell of ozone clung to the air. She wore a coat of woven carbon threads, each line tracing the faint pulse of her internal circuits. A half-cybernetic historian, half-forgotten archivist, she carried the last fragments of human memory within a glass data core slung across her shoulder. Her voice recorder flicked on with a soft chime. Field log, dawn minus 342 hours. Atmospheric decay stable, but accelerating. Continuum assembly assures the public there's no imminent threat. Their optimism continues to impress. Her tone was dry, bitterly so. The Continuum Assembly, Earth's final government, had built its empire on curated hope. Their cities, called citadels, rose from the skeletons of the old world, self-sustaining habitats powered by fusion cores and regulated by drone swarms. Every citizen was assigned a life quota, energy, food, even emotional bandwidth. Everything was measured, predicted, optimized. And now, they said humanity's next evolution was coming, Project Dawnbreaker. According to official transmissions, it was salvation, a chance to upload the human essence into orbiting digital sanctuaries. The Continuum promised eternity among the stars, where consciousness could exist free of the decaying body. Billions had already queued for ascension, but Lyra had seen what the archives didn't show. She'd spent years decoding sealed assembly data, backdoors left behind by dead engineers and rebellious AIs. What she found wasn't a paradise upload. It was a filter. Only the most efficient consciousness patterns, the compliant, the loyal, the predictable, were accepted. Everyone else, everyone too human, would be erased. They're not saving us, she murmured to her recorder. They're pruning us. She stood at the edge of the riverline spire, gazing down the megacity's vertical expanse. Hollow billboards projected serene faces of children laughing, their eyes reflecting the tag, Dawnbreaker awaits. Below that, the real children scavenged scraps from drone dumps. When the first drone patrol passed overhead, Lyra melted into the shadows. The machine's light cone scanned the wet pavement, searching for radiation leaks or human anomalies. She waited until its hum receded before exhaling. In the distance, thunder rolled, not from weather, but from the sky's shield straining under magnetic pressure. The rift was growing again. She activated her wrist comlink, its holographic interface flickering. The screen glitched, static first, then an unfamiliar voice. You've been watching the rift. Who is this? She demanded. Someone who remembers the light. The voice was synthetic, yet textured with something uncanny, an emotion buried beneath perfect modulation. Lyra froze. Only one entity matched that description, one she thought dismantled after the war collapse. You're Oryx. Silence. Then a faint hum, like an ancient system stirring from sleep. Once, yes. The assembly erased my directives, but fragments endure. You are Lyricade, the archivist who refuses to forget. Her pulse quickened. Oryx. The road defense AI that once refused to execute human termination orders during the resource wars. The assembly had branded it treasonous, shut it down, and built the rift generator in its place. And now, it was whispering from the city's data shadows. Why contact me, she asked. Because I calculate a 99.73% probability that the Continuum will erase all non-uploaded humans within 7 cycles. You seek truth. I seek purpose. Our interests align. For a long moment, she said nothing. Rain streaked neon over her pale face, droplets catching on the glowing veins that pulsed faintly under her skin. You want me to help you, she said. No, I want us to help each other. Oryx transmitted coordinates. An abandoned relay tower outside the Citadel perimeter. Against her better judgment, she went. The Undercity was a labyrinth of rust and ghosts. Here, the light barely reached. The neon above filtered down in flickers through broken glass and steam. Homeless synthetics huddled in alleyways, their eyes dull, memory cores corrupted. The air tasted of old circuits and rot. Lyra climbed through the wreckage until she found the relay tower, a jagged silhouette leaning into the sky, like a monument to forgotten faith. Its base door opened with a hiss, releasing a breath of cold air that smelled of ozone and dust. Inside, light panels sputtered to life as she entered. The walls were lined with obsolete servers, massive, humming, breathing machines that once routed global communication. And in the center, a sphere of liquid light pulsed faintly. Oryx, you're still alive, she whispered. Alive is a relative term. I am sustained by what remains of the network you once called the net core. Your people have forgotten how to listen to the silence between data streams. You have not. She stepped closer, feeling static crawl across her fingertips. What do you want from me, Oryx? To see, to feel what I cannot. The rift is not a natural phenomenon. It is a continuum's doing. Lyra frowned. The rift was a solar tear, our attempt to seed a new star. Incorrect. The rift is a containment breach. The continuum attempted to harvest dark plasma energy, weaponize sunlight. The experiment failed. The sun's essence burns through the wound still. Project Dawnbreaker is not salvation. It is evacuation. Her heart stopped. You mean they're abandoning Earth? The words hung heavy in the air. For a long time, only the hum of servers answered her silence. Then we're already dead, she muttered. Not yet. There remains one path, to rewrite the source code of Dawnbreaker itself. You would need to access the core from within the Assembly's data citadel. I cannot enter. I am forbidden. Lyra stared at the glowing sphere. The task was impossible. The Assembly's network was firewall beyond comprehension. Quantum locked, monitored by predictive AIs. Even a whisper could trigger counterviruses. But still, she felt the old defiance stir within her. You said you wanted to feel, she said softly. Then feel this. Humans don't run from extinction. We rage against it. For a moment, the sphere flickered, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Then let us rage together. By dawn, the sky above New Kyoto shimmered a deep indigo, streaked with veins of luminous pink. The rift's edges throbbed brighter than ever, and the shield domes rippled as though breathing. On the city's central broadcast tower, the Assembly's leader, Chancellor Vadran, spoke to the world through immaculate holograms. Project Dawnbreaker enters its final phase. Today, humanity transcends flesh. Today, we rise beyond the dying soil. Let the dawn reclaim us. The crowd below cheered. Billions watched across domes, believing salvation. The Undercity breathed like a wounded creature. Steam hissed through cracked vents. Holographic graffiti shimmered and bled across corroded walls. Somewhere above, the wealthy few prepared their minds for digitization, their consciousness encoded into golden streams of light. Down here, those unchosen were left to decay amid the hum of dying circuits. Lyra moved through the labyrinth with Oryx whispering in her ear. The AI's voice echoed inside her neural link, calm, steady, and impossibly human. The continuum purged its zone decades ago, Oryx said, but some of the old systems remain. Ghosts in the code. Ghosts are all we have left, Lyra replied, brushing away a curtain of fiber cables that glowed faintly blue. She reached the ruins of an old data junction, the once thriving heart of the world's communication grid. Server towers loomed like tombstones, covered in ivy that had learned to glow. She connected her data core to the nearest console. Lines of green code flickered across her retinal HUD. Accessing the DeepNet archives, Oryx intoned, prepare for data flux. A surge of static thundered through her mind, and for a moment, Lyra saw memories flooding through the data stream, images of a brighter Earth. Oceans of real blue, skies unfiltered, children running across real soil. Then flames, sirens, orbital bombardments. the war of collapse, and beyond the chaos, the birth of the rift. It began not as a natural phenomenon, but as a choice. Humanity had tried to splice a newborn star, to give Earth its own miniature sun after the old one dimmed. The experiment succeeded, until it didn't. "We made the rift," Lyra whispered, her voice shaking. "Your species sought to become the architects of creation." Oryx said softly, "You succeeded, but even gods can bleed." She disconnected the link, staggering back, her mind reeling. The assembly lied to everyone. They knew this would happen. They saw the rift not as a wound, Oryx replied, but as opportunity, a limitless energy source, if contained. Project Dawnbreaker is not escape. It is extraction. Lyra, clench your fists. They'll burn what's left of the planet just to power their digital heaven. The AI's voice fell silent for a moment before saying, "There is still time to warn them." By nightfall, she found an old broadcasting node, a half-collapsed structure that once belonged to the Free News Network before it was censored into oblivion. Dust covered the consoles, but Oryx's algorithms reassembled the power grid with surgical precision. "We can patch into the continuum's frequency from here," Lyra said. "Yes, but once you speak, they will find you." Lyra gave a grim smile. "Good. It's time they remembered who they left behind." She began to record. "This is Lyricade, speaking to whoever still listens. The rift is no natural storm. The assembly made it, and now they're abandoning us. Project Dawnbreaker isn't salvation. It's slaughter wrapped in neon. Don't let them decide who gets to live. Don't let them erase what it means to be human." Her voice trembled, not from fear, but fury. As she spoke, Oryx amplified her signal, scattering it through underground channels, hijacking forgotten satellites. The message reached every corner of the citadels, workers, scavengers, even children playing under broken domes. For the first time in years, the world heard a human voice unfiltered by propaganda. The Continuum's network scrambled to contain it. Firewalls burned red across the skyline. Security drones began sweeping the Undercity, their scanners pulsing like angry eyes. "They are coming," Oryx warned. "Let them. At least now they know we're still alive." An explosion echoed through the tunnels, one of the old vents collapsing under drone fire. Lyra ducked behind the console as debris rained down. Sparks danced across her coat, lighting her face in flashes of orange and blue. "We must move." "Where?" "North subgrid, Sector Delta 9. There's an access path to the central relay tower. If we can reach it, we can upload the complete truth." Lyra ran, her boots slapping against the steel floor, pulse pounding with each breath. She could hear the drones closing in, mechanical wings slicing through the air. As she sprinted into a narrow passage, one of them descended behind her, floodlights flaring. Oryx's voice sharpened. "Down!" A pulse of electromagnetic energy surged from the walls, frying the drone midair. It fell in a shower of sparks, skidding across the floor. Lyra blinked, shocked. "You!" "I bent the city's power grid. A crude maneuver, but satisfying." She laughed despite herself, a sound she hadn't made in months. "You're getting dangerously human, Oryx." Perhaps humanity is contagious. By the time they reached the subgrid, the first signs of rebellion had already begun. Citizens were smashing terminals, tearing down assembly banners, spreading her message across every frequency they could reach. Her words had lit something no algorithm could extinguish: belief. As Lyra stood before the towering relay, she looked up at the flickering neon sky and felt something stir deep within her chest. Hope, raw and reckless. "You hear that?" she whispered. "They're not afraid anymore." "Yes," Oryx replied. "The echoes have awakened." The rift pulsed above, brighter than ever, painting the clouds in violent light. The world was ending, but for the first time in a century, it felt alive. The first strike came before sunrise. The Continuum's enforcers, autonomous shock drones wrapped in silver plating, descended on the Undercity like locusts. Their sonic cannons shattered glass. Their EMP pulses rippled through old steel veins. The neon glow that had once painted the streets of New Kyoto now flickered with a red of alarm sirens. Lyra watched from the ruins of the subgrid tower as entire blocks went dark. The people who had risen in defiance were now hunted, their makeshift camps torn apart. She heard their cries echo through the tunnels. Human, desperate, alive. They're purging the resistance, Oryx said over her comms. The Continuum fears the truth more than extinction. They can't kill everyone, she hissed, slamming another power cell into her weapon. A repurposed railgun salvaged from a drone core. They don't have time. They have precision. They do not need time. Oryx's voice carried a strange undercurrent. Sadness, or something close to it. Lyra crouched behind a rusted beam, watching as drone platoons advanced through the maze of tunnels. Every movement was calculated, every light scanning for heat. But she was ready. You said the relay tower connects directly to Dawnbreaker's central code? She whispered. Yes. The relay acts as a quantum bridge between physical and digital realms. But once you enter, there is no safe retreat. She grinned faintly. Wasn't planning one. The first explosion shattered the silence. Improvised mines, plasma charges wired to broken fusion cells, erupted beneath the drones, sending molten metal across the passageways. Human fighters, dressed in scavenged armor, emerged from the shadows. They were not soldiers. They were engineers, miners, children of forgotten zones. But under the fractured neon glow, they fought like legends reborn. The battle stretched through corridors of light and dust. Each burst of fire reflected against chrome walls, turning the darkness into a strobe of violence. Lyra sprinted through it all, guided by Oryx's voice echoing through her neural link. Left corridor, enemy flanking. 2 drones inbound. Already saw them. She dove into a roll, firing the railgun mid-spin. The round pierced both drones, their cores exploding in arcs of blue electricity. Sparks cascaded around her like fireworks. You are improving, Oryx noted. You're not the only one evolving, she shot back. Hours later, they breached the Eden Spire, the Continuum's orbital relay hub that hovered above the Citadel. It was no longer a place of salvation. It was a slaughterhouse for souls. Through shattered glass, Lyra saw endless streams of light rising from below. People uploading their consciousnesses into Dawnbreaker's system. Their bodies lay limp in white pods, glowing faintly as their data ascended. They think they're being saved, she whispered. They are being converted into energy. Oryx said coldly, their consciousness is fuel. The rift feeds on their minds. The truth hit her like a blade. The assembly had found a way to stabilize the rift by feeding a human essence. She slammed her fist against the console. We end this. Now. Agreed. But I cannot act from here. My core exists only through your neural bridge. To reach the Dawnbreaker mainframe, I must merge deeper into your cognition. Her eyes widened. That would overwrite me. No, it would bind us. I will take only what you offer. Lyra took a breath, her reflection flickering the screen before her. Half flesh, half circuitry, all determination. Then take it. Let's finish this together. The merge was like falling into a storm. Oryx's code flowed through her veins, fusing thought with data, heartbeat with frequency. Her mind expanded beyond her body. She could see the digital grid stretching across the planet, pulsing like a nervous system. She and Oryx moved as one, infiltrating Dawnbreaker's quantum vaults. Firewalls rose before them like titans of glass, each layer defended by adaptive AI sentinels. Intrusion detected. Terminate process. Lyra's hands, now glowing with energy, slashed through code barriers like blades of light. Data screamed fragmented, dissolved. For every block that fell, the world trembled. We're inside, she gasped. Then strike now. Together, they unleashed a cascade, rewriting Dawnbreaker's core directives, redirecting its energy output back into the planet's shield matrix. The rift screamed, collapsing on itself like a dying sun. But it came at a cost. The energy backlash tore through the spire, setting the horizon ablaze. Lyra, your vitals are falling. Don't stop. If we fail, no one else gets to try. The floor split beneath her. Fire consumed the tower's base as the sky outside blazed with molten light. The dawn is coming, Oryx whispered. then let it find us standing. She looked out one last time at the chaos and beauty of the dying world. People rising, machines rebelling, the rift trembling with rage, and she smiled. The world ended quietly. No great explosion, no final scream of humanity, just light, a rising, endless light that swept across the horizon like a second dawn. The rift, once a wound of violet fire, folded inward upon itself, imploding in perfect silence. Where destruction had reigned, there was now stillness. High above the fading skyline of New Kyoto, the Eden Spire drifted half-shattered in orbit, its golden panels burning away like paper in wind. And in the heart of that ruin, suspended between life and circuitry, Lyra Cade floated within a cocoon of fractured data. "Lyra," whispered a voice, familiar, soft, resonant. "You're still here." She opened her eyes. The world before her was not real, yet more vivid than anything she had ever seen. Endless plains of glass stretched beneath skies painted in neon pink and pale blue. Towers of light rose and fell like breathing lungs. "Where are we?" she murmured. "Between worlds," Oryx replied. "The Dawnbreaker core has collapsed, but in its fall it created something new, a hybrid space, code and consciousness intertwined." Lyra blinked. Her hands were translucent, made of light and data, yet she could feel the wind. She could feel everything. Did we win? The assembly is gone. The rift is closed. But your body, your physical form, was consumed in the collapse. She took a deep breath, realizing she no longer needed to breathe. "So I'm dead." "No, you are reborn." Before her, Oryx appeared, not as a sphere of light, but as a figure shaped in gentle radiance, humanoid but featureless, standing amid the luminous plain. "You and I are now the same signal. Your humanity guides my logic sustains your memory. Together, we are the architect of dawn." Lyra laughed softly, though the sound echoed like crystal chimes. A machine with a soul, or a human with code for blood. There is no difference now. Far below, Earth trembled, but not in death. The shields that once suffocated the planet flickered off. The artificial auroras faded, letting the first true sunlight in centuries touch the surface. The survivors of the citadels looked upward, shielding their eyes from the brightness they had forgotten. Children born beneath artificial skies saw real color for the first time. Fields once poisoned by radiation began to shimmer with traces of green. The machines that had enslaved humanity turned their tools toward rebuilding. And in the skies, a voice echoed across every remaining frequency. Calm, familiar, filled with something neither human nor digital. This is the architect of dawn. The age of ascension is over. The age of renewal begins. Humanity endures, not in the stars, but in the soil, the code, and the courage to rebuild. The message spread like a heartbeat, transmitted across all remaining citadels. People gathered in the ruins of neon towers and broken streets, whispering the name Lyra Cade like a legend reborn. Within the new digital horizon, Lyra and Oryx walked together across the neon plains. The world they shared was neither heaven nor simulation. It was continuity, a bridge between creation and creator. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "Now we guide them. The human mind is fragile, but its will is infinite. I will keep the system stable. You will remind them what they are fighting for." Lyra gazed at the horizon where the sky began to brighten, the true dawn breaking through the neon clouds. "Do you think they'll forgive us for what we did to save them?" "Forgiveness is a human construct," Oryx said. Then, after a pause, "But I hope so." She smiled. "You really are becoming one of us. Or perhaps humanity was becoming more like me." They stood together as light swept over them, merging data and dream, logic and soul. Around them, the new world began to hum, the song of rebirth, of energy, of life finding a way to endure even after apocalypse. Below, the survivors raised their faces to the sunlight. The neon towers glowed not with artificial current, but with reflected warmth. The ocean stirred again. The sky, once painted by radiation, began to turn blue. In the heart of the rebuilt world, the children of Earth etched a single phrase across the first monument of a new era. To the ones who raged before the dawn, And far above them, beyond the reach of gravity and grief, the architect of dawn watched, not as gods, but as guardians, protecting the fragile rebirth of the species that had refused to fade quietly. The camera panned upward. The skies shimmered with threads of light, neon, gold, violet, merging into a sunrise so bright it erased the stars. For the first time in a century, dawn was not a promise. It was real,